City Council's new photograph. My apologies for the delay. You got to see transparency in government right before your eyes. No sunshine law's been violated. We did it right in front of everybody. First item on the agenda today for work session of Monday, Jan 9 is a special presentation to a very special young man. This was brought to us by Councilman Estes. So Councilman Estes, if you can join me at the podium, and we will welcome Mr. Owen Clemens. Owen, can you join us at the podium? Owen, we're very, very proud on behalf of the entire City Council and Cleveland City Schools who are represented here. In fact, the entire board is here in honor of you to show you their appreciation. But Owen, we're really, really proud of what you've accomplished in a very short and young life. And we know that there are many more of these headed your way. So just keep them coming and we'll keep generating proclamations. But on behalf of Councilman Estes and the entire City Council, today, whereas the City of Cleveland recognizes Owen Clemens for making history at the TSSAA Class AAA State Boys Cross Country Championship, November 4th. Whereas the 6-foot, 15-year-old Clemens is the first freshman to place first at the TSSAA Class AAA State Boys Championship for cross country. And whereas Clemens, Tim, this is important, is the fastest freshman in the United States of America at a 5K distance time of 15:01.90. Can we just clap for that? And whereas Clemens state title in a row, winning the last two in middle school and now high school champion as freshman, this is an exciting time for Cleveland High School's cross country team and is the second cross country title for CHS. And I'm very thankful for this clause. Whereas Owen says he always gives God the glory for whatever he does. And whereas Mr. Clemens aspires to be a professional runner by the time he is out of high school, now therefore the mayor and city council do hereby recognize Owen Clemens for this outstanding national achievement and present you with this certificate of commendation and extend our admiration and support in pursuit of all that you do in your professional and high school running career. Mr. Clemens, congratulations. Thank you. So we don't have to wait for a correction. Councilman?
When you wear the Cleveland singlet, you think you're representing Cleveland High School, but you represent the entire community, and you've done that so well this year, so thank you, and this stage for
Mr. Clemens, congratulations as the fastest freshman in the United States. I don't think this will be the fastest meeting in the United States, so you don't have to stay for the whole thing. I just want to give you that ability to leave at your leisure, but we are very, very proud. We are very proud of you. Thank you all. We began our day this morning at the beautiful ribbon cutting and open house of the new Sanda Lofts, formerly the Sanda Hosiery Mill, which if you've not seen it, it is an amazing addition, an investment to our downtown, and we're very thankful for their grand opening this morning. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Fivas. Item number 2 is our city manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. All right, thank you very much. Don't have a very long report today. One update I wanted to give the Mayor and the City Council is that, as we've discussed, the Shark Park deed issue, in which it was, used to be the former, what do they call it, John?
Andy's Creek Sanitation.
and we had to work with the county, so my purpose is to mention something. The county has helped us out by doing a resolution dissolving the sanitation district, which has allowed us to take the documents and get a deed for that. So at the next meeting, we'll work with Cleveland Utilities and our representative David May to get Cleveland Utilities to deed from Cleveland Utilities to the city, and we'll have hopefully a title and a deed to that property, which will make TDEC happy, right? Happy. So, so that's in process, and we're working on that. Another item that we have on the agenda today is, and we'll talk about it, LIC North. That project has gone over in time. Usually when the projects go over in time, CEI costs, which are the inspectors that are required by the state, those costs have gone up. We're working with them to work on that, but at the end of the day, we're still working on, that project was a 50% state, 25% county, 25% city, and so we're working with all the parties to try to allocate those costs. So when you approve that today, we'll still be working with them to make sure that it's equitable across the board on that. And that was all I had for the city manager report. And if you want me to do the review of the agenda on the
Certainly. Any questions for Mr. Fibus on his report? Great, let's proceed with the agenda.
Authorizing on item A, resolution 23-01, authorizing the Cleveland Police Department to apply for a violent crime intervention fund and the competitive collaborative enhancement grant through the state of Tennessee Office of Criminal Justice. Essentially what we're asking, there's two grants that Mark Gibson and the police department and myself are asking you to approve. The first one is a grant for $515 or $515 for trying to reduce violent crime by, as you can see by the title. Some of the things that are included in that item, and this is that will automatically get this through the police department. That we will have cameras at some parks. It will include the LPRs, the license plate readers at different intersections. So it's always good when someone else pays for that stuff. There are some reoccurring costs, a couple thousand, few $1,000s a year on those LPRs we can do, and other items are more just kind of day-to-day items. Is that the one that had the canine units?
The second one has those. This one, it's mostly technology-based and then equipment-based. Tactical shields, helmets, those types of things. But most of it's technology-based, like LPRs and it has the alert system, which is the live crime center portion that syncs automatically.
So essentially, when we get all of our camera systems and the LPRs and the camera system on the Greenway and the parks all set up, is that it will come into this program that Mark is purchasing with this, and it filters it in a way that everything's integrated from, I think, the body cams to a lot of the other technology, and it will be able to be processed in a way that you can get easy access to certain segments of that live video streams. I believe that allows you to go in and look live, sitting at a console, on what you can see.
The current body camera we have, if you, the officer activates the body camera, and as a criminal process, we can go into the center and live stream their body camera and watch it live, and make decisions, on operations that are going on.
Who you working with, Joe, at Motorola or Flock on those?
Motorola, I think that that's who the police department chose, as mostly because they're on the state contract and being a state grant, they required it to have a relationship with the state, is that correct?
Flock was not an option. The Motorola was the, under the grant requirements, Motorola was the company that you had to use for those items, because they are on state contract.
But Motorola also had a lower reoccurring cost over time too. So then you buy the camera up front, and then the reoccurring cost is smaller. Flock was a little bit more intensive on the annual cost, so you probably would save some money in the future. The other grant, which is a $2 million competitive grant that you would be approving, is a grant between the city of Cleveland and the Bradley County Sheriff's Department. It's required that you have jointly submitted, and that has many of the same concepts in there, more LPR cameras, vehicles, things like that, and kind of outlines that. And if you have any last comments on the $2 million grant, and it is competitive. So.
Yeah, the $2 million one is competitive. You have to have another law enforcement agency collaborate with you on that. So basically, it's it builds off the 515, and that's more of a guaranteed grant if they accept the application. But if you get chosen for this one, we're building off the 12 person or 515, so you build we're looking at personnel, vehicles, additional equipment that would complement the individual 515 grant.
Any questions on those options?
Any questions from the council?
Item B is resolution 23-02, is approving the subrecipient agreement between City Fields for the down payment assistance through the CDBG program. Again, the families that are able to purchase the family occupied homes that City Fields is doing, we have CDBG money that we enable them to collaboratively work to have down payment assistance so that they don't have to have a bunch of upfront money. We help subsidize that. We've done that for a long time. The next item is a sub-recipient agreement with Habitat for Humanity. We do the same for them, and basically this is in our CDBG program master plan that you guys approve every year, and it certainly goes a long way to increase the number of owner-occupied homes in some of the programs that they're working with.
I would just say to my colleagues, it also helps with the grant itself that is focusing on LMI. This is a super win-win across the board.
Yeah, Bill, is the county involved in that at all?
They were with their ARP funds quite a bit.
Yeah.
They designated, is there somebody from the county? I don't know. Are they over $1 million with their ARP funds? Is Cindy, is Kathy?
Yeah.
Kathy can speak to that better than I can.
What does the county do?
With down payment assistance with either of the,
Not that I know of.
yeah, but they did.
Because we are an entitlement program, we get that money every year, and the county has CDBG money every year, and the county has to compete in the small cities community development block grant. So the Small Cities Community Development Block Grant is administered through the Tennessee Department of Economic Community Development. So they do not have a down payment assistance program at that level. So the answer to your question is no, they do not.
They have helped with land banking. I don't know about Habitat, but for City Fields, and I'm not on the board anymore of City Fields, so I may not be all, but they have helped with land banking for in the future. So, as I think Joe said it very well, upfront costs of buying a house for first-time homeowners can be prohibitive. This also gets them borrowing a little less, so their monthly payments are down closer to what they're paying for rent, which is There's so many.
It's a good
It is a
program.
great program.
Great
And
program.
I just want to know, this helps us with our CDBG applications. We look better and better that you put together every year. So I
Yeah.
know most of that comes to the second district. It's awesome. I mean, it's just, it's life-changing stuff.
And it changes past renter-occupied homes to family-owned and occupied homes, and that's an important thing for a lot of those neighborhoods that are improved.
And to the county's credit, they really are coming along. They're buying in to both Habitat and City Fields a little more.
Great.
Yeah, it's,
I'm
and
glad to
hey,
hear
Dustin
that.
gets credit for that. I mean, Dustin's working on those relationships. Sorry, Joe. Thank you, Kathy.
Item D is amending the city personnel rules and regulations to revise section 8 of miscellaneous policies, subsection L, the anti-harassment policy. Every few years, there's new court case or new laws for anti-harassment, discrimination, a lot of those ideas. We are updating that. We have a mandatory trainings this week with this new policy, and it's just keeps us up to date with a lot of which is obviously very important to everyone here. Harassment, bullying in the workplace, and making sure that we can train off the most up-to-date laws and policies on that. Item E is authorizing the mayor to sign a contract amendment number 1 for Wood WSP for CEI services for the LIC project. That was the one I was discussing. Project was supposed to be done in January. It's probably April timeframe, Jonathan. The longer the project goes, your CEI costs go up. CEI is required. When we first started this grant, the city did their own CEI programs, and we have people that are certified and can do that, and the state has not been willing to allow us to do those CEI programs, which usually adds a couple $100,000 to a project. And so this is just authorizing the continuation of that, but it's mostly because the continuation is because the contractor has not hit their targets. If they continue not to hit their targets, this is a state contract, and there are possibility of liquidated damages for that contractor, and I don't know where that stands right at the moment. Is that fair? So, any questions on that? Declaring the surplus property, declaring 1996 Jeep Cherokee as surplus property to be used by the Cleveland Fire Department. My understanding, this is about as old and rugged as you can get, and that's probably not the best use that we can have for it, kind of pieces.
What do you do, Joe? Put that on gov deals or what? How do you liquidate?
We're just giving it to the Cleveland Fire Department.
Oh, okay, yeah. I should have read the bottom line.
And that would be the consent agenda. And then you have item 8A, which is the First Tennessee building. The last meeting, the council asked city staff to communicate with the property owner, which is the proper property owner is the Cleveland Development Enterprises. And we did send a letter to them, and we were able to get back and you have in front of you a letter from the Cleveland Development Enterprises. I'll just read it so everyone knows what we're talking about. Thank you for your discussions for the past few months concerning the city of Cleveland's interest in the above property. You outlined today the matter set forth in your November 17th, 2022 letter to your city council colleagues, and provided with me a copy of your letter along with the supporting information are offered together. We are pleased to let you and the council know that the rebate of taxes and utilities totaling $759,610.35 would be an acceptable amount, along with the proposed letter you have outlined concerning the receipt of certain tax benefits as a basis for proceeding to negotiate a mutually acceptable contract purchase for the city at 775 Raider Drive. If you would please so indicate this, the council will make further contact from the city to take the next steps to finalize and close this transaction as soon as possible. And I read that is I think just our next step is to continue, is that we need to get, as they say in their letter, mutually acceptable contract, and we're willing to do that and try to get that at the next meeting if that's something that you want to discuss or there. But I think that they're probably pretty close. We just need to get them the documents and need to get that, and then you'll have a signed document which you can work on. I know that there's been discussion about potential users in the city school. If there's items on how they could be involved, I think we would want something in writing from both parties on what that would be to go, and we think we can probably pull that together in the next couple of weeks. And at this point, you guys can discuss if there's any more conversation to go.
So is this something we need to vote on today so you can proceed forward?
I don't know if you need to vote on it. I mean, I think it's pretty clear direction that you need something, you need a mutually acceptable purchase contract, and I think we get that to them and get a signature and then bring it back, and that's where we're at. Do you think we need something voted on with that?
There's nothing, you can't accept this is not an offer to, if you read it, it says we're looking forward to trying to negotiate with you, basically, what it says.
We can
The
get
next
them-
step would be to present them with an agreement, or the LLC with an agreement, and see if it's acceptable to them. If it is, it'd be brought back to y'all, and then you have to approve it. Both parties have to sign a written agreement because it relates to real estate.
So the city will write an agreement up to send it back to that party, correct? That's what you're saying?
We would probably ask them if they want to draft an agreement, or if and we'll contact them and see what that is, and however they want to do that, we can do that. I mean, we have no problem doing that. They may already have a template that they can do that. We'll just communicate with them and get that done, and get it to them in enough time that they can get their attorneys to look at it and get it back here by a couple of weeks.
Does negotiating mean that this is not the final price? Is that what they're saying? Mr. Preston, is that what he's saying? It's $749 for taxes and utilities, and then will put us in a position to negotiate?
I wasn't able to be at that meeting, or I wasn't at the meeting.
Mayor Brooks, is that what that means?
Can I not ask a question? Maybe it's to Mr. Kimball. Mr. Kimball spoke to me on that last time. An actual number has to be brought to us in a contract. We're not gonna do the negotiating. A number is, because that's what I'm under the impression. So we're not,
Well, it's all over the place. You received, what's the figure you received?
It was 4 point something.
4 point what? 4.7 million. And then Mayor Brooks received a letter, and this is the letter. And I would rather he would say a price instead of taxes and utilities, because he didn't own that building for the last 10 years. He sold it at one time to Bethel. And so I don't believe it would be very kosher for us to pay Bethel's taxes and utilities. The price that we have here is fine. This price is fine. But I will not go forward with this, and I know the school board wants it, and it'd be great for them to have a portion of it, but I think it needs to be reworked.
So when you put it into the purchase contract, it just needs to be this number.
759.
Just the number, not
I think
taxes
that's what Dr. Estes
and
said.
utilities, yeah.
And I think just for clarification, thank you, Mr. Hughes and Councilman Estes, I think for clarification purposes, this council, and I was not present at the December 12 meeting, but the discussion was that there needs to be a letter from the seller. And that was what was presented to me. This is the letter from the seller indicating a price that they have now agreed upon of $759. And so if
749,
759.
759. Well, it's gone up 10,000.
No, that's the same price all along, since the first email that we sent out, and that's included in your packet. But it's 759, and if the council is in need of a contract, then I don't know what action that this council needs to take to empower you as staff to execute that contract at 759. But that is what the seller is expecting, is that the contract will be drafted between the city and the seller. The price will be 759 and whatever the change, and it's my impression that they are ready to sign.
Okay. And we can put that together and get that to them. And, I'm sorry, were you done?
No, done.
And so.
The end.
We can put, we'll certainly give deference to them if they prefer to put the document together, we don't care. We'll communicate that, we'll get them something, get that. And in the meantime, I think that there's an interest in the city school system to have an interest in that. Would want to have some level of direction from the council on that. We would like to sit down with Dr. Dyer and his team, speaking with his board, and come up with an understanding of how that will be. Because I think that looking into the future, that will be a question that will be confronted. Is okay. Well, here's the signed agreement. Well, who's going to pay for it? All those things. And I think the more progress we can make in that in the next couple of weeks will be beneficial to all the parties.
And that would be my follow-up question. Can a discussion and execution of contract happen simultaneously as discussion and execution of an MOU with Cleveland City Schools? Can those happen at the same time?
Well, not literally probably all at the same time because we probably can't be in a room, but yes. But I think if you're looking at this from what's the best way to do this, is to have an understanding on what the exact price is, and understanding exactly what contributions, what stake the city schools would have and what that would be, and that the council would have all of that information, and then you can make a decision based on having all the information and facts in front of you. I think that gives everyone probably the greatest peace of mind.
Can I ask my colleagues a question? Just like timing, how it goes before it comes back to us. If city staff and Cleveland Development Enterprises to come up with a contract and an agreement number, before it comes back to us, would you be opposed of them giving that number to the schools so they can do their due diligence to have the right kind of proposal to bring to us? Or do you want it to stay quiet, super quiet?
Well, I think you should be out.
Yeah,
I think you should be out in the open. The
The
more information that we've got when we make the final vote,
I'd like that too. Then
Yeah.
if you're okay with that, just let me know. I think, I won't go down that road.
well,
I like things out in the open as well, David.
okay,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I see many people interested from the school board here.
Yeah,
But keep in mind that the same week that Mayor Brooks got this letter, the city manager got a letter for $4.7 million. So it's been all over the place. And we need something substantial from him to say that this is final, and you watch the signature and make, because it's very convoluted at the present time.
Mr. Fox, will you share that letter with me? It's not to me.
Yeah, I don't have it right here with me, but sure.
Speaking of making things public, let's make it public.
Well, I just did.
Okay. Yeah, let's make it public.
Yeah, it's public.
So,
because my comments in the last meeting were that I couldn't give a vote unless I knew the cost, of not only the building, but of how it was gonna be paid for. So I would be comfortable voting if I had a contract from, Mr. President, and another one from the school, a contract of understanding of who's doing what. I mean, because I just feel like I need to know that information to make a really good decision one way or the other. So I would like to see those, I would like those two things to be brought to the council in form of a contract.
And that was my understanding of what we were gonna do.
Yes, but I would be
This
comfortable
new
with
letter
that.
supersedes the 4.7. None of us have seen that letter.
Mayor,
I haven't seen that letter.
Yeah, I haven't
Mayor.
seen it. But he told you he didn't
Mayor, I
write
have a
the
question.
name
You
on
met
it.
with Mr. Preston and them over there. Was the understanding that this was an agreement that they wanted to sign and give to, for us to vote on it and move forward with this thing? Because it seems like we're just kicking this down the road some.
This legally is not in a format you can accept. This is not correctly done. If that's their intent, to give you a sales contract for that price, that's not what they've done.
But we can get them something in
But
short
if
order.
that's what you
and-
want.
That's what we have to have.
Trying to get,
Legally, we have to have that.
that's right. This
But
is
what
not
Joe
something
has
he's gonna
is a
accept.
purchase price.
Well, to answer your question, Mr. Casta, yes, this last meeting where a letter was presented, typed by Cleveland Development Enterprises attorney who was present at the meeting, this letter is to indicate that this is the price. There were multiple conversations that the deal cannot change from
So
this,
who will give us the contract statement?
and so the instructions as given to me were we needed a letter from the seller. The words letter were given to me, and that is what was presented. I indicated to the seller, we need a letter with the final price.
But Mayor, we can't vote on that letter the way it states that we're
Negotiate.
on taxes. We
Yeah,
can't
that's
re,
Taxes, utilities.
So
Yeah.
we can
Just the
move on to
price
the
is
next
all we
step.
I mean, it has to be in a
Yes. For the
different
contract.
form from that.
I think
forward.
that the next step is an expedited contract as fast as we can get it, that the council can agree on, and it be presented to them
Yeah.
for signature.
Well, we'll use this number. We'll put it into a purchase contract, and we'll give it to them. They'll likely sign it, we'll bring it back, and at the same time, we'll be working with Dr. Dyer and his team, and we'll try to fill in the details of a lot of the other pieces, so that so the council will have all the pieces of information. And then, if everything goes the way you would hope it would, is then you could approve them at the same meeting, at the same time, and everyone knows what it could look like.
Any questions from the council?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Estes, you're recognized.
School board, Mr. Tucker, Dr. Dyer, are you kosher with this since we're trying to be kosher today?
I think the only answer we can say is yes.
And just, I guess in 2 weeks at our next meeting, can we make sure that they have a set aside time on the, to long for presentation and
Yes.
see what's going on? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that, like I said, is I think that I think we're gonna inevitably run into the question. You have the agreement from, Mr. Preston, or from Cleveland Development Enterprises. And then there's gonna be a question, well, who's doing in what part and what state, like, I think we need to cover those bases, because I don't wanna have yet another conversation. I would rather get everything, and then either we're gonna do it or we're not gonna do it.
Okay. Thanks.
Who's gonna have a conversation? Mayor, who's gonna have a conversation with Mr. Preston? You're the only one that's really had a conversation. City staff has not had a conversation with Mr. Preston, so where do we go from there?
Well, I think the next conversation is Mr. Preston, Cleveland Development Enterprises, here is a contract.
Who's gonna ask him for it?
No, I think Mr. Kimball and Mr. Fivas, I thought that was our,
Yeah,
it's.
They're gonna
you said
create
they
it.
would present that as a contract and a number. That's what I heard him say.
Yeah, we would give them that number with that agreement, give it to his, give it to the Cleveland Development Enterprises people, and then when their attorneys can look at it and approve it, and then they sign it, then they give it back to us, and we'll bring it forward.
I do like Councilman Hughes' idea of just get a number, not
right.
superfluous connections, and I like having everything laid out for the other council members.
I think the sooner we can get that contract and get Mr. Preston's lawyers to approve it, the better, based on his January 5th letter. The most recent letter, the most recent number.
Yeah, when you had your meeting, did you talk to the lawyers?
I
or
did.
You talked to the
Both.
lawyers?
Lawyer was to my right, Mr. Preston was across the table, and I watched him sign it in his presence.
Okay.
So I guess the lawyer wasn't competent enough on signing that, presenting a contract. He should know better than what present to the city for us.
Don't speculate, please.
I'm just not, I'm just not.
Please.
Any other comments or questions about this agenda item?
You do.
I think we know. I think you have clear direction
And
as soon as possible.
And everyone's, I just wanted to make, everyone's comfortable with with the city's team and Dr. Dyer's team to get together and work through
I think
some
so.
scenarios and make sure people kind of know what's going on and go with it.
And Mr. Tucker, Mr. Dyer, I think I speak for all of us, we'd love to meet with you individually in the next couple of weeks, right? If need be, right? If you think it's best, I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking privately, ahead of time.
And I can't let it, well, I guess I should let it go, but the minutes of the December 12 meeting say if we could receive a letter from the property owner. So, we did. Thanks, everybody. I guess that takes us now, unless you have other unfinished business?
There was an item for a downtown parking agreement. We're still working through some subtle details on that, and we'll defer that to the next meeting, so there won't be any business. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Fivas. And that takes us to members of the council, reports from the council members at this, our 1 o'clock work session. We'll begin with Councilwoman McKenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one thing I would like to say at this one, and that is that today marks 2 years that Charlie passed away. And I just want to honor him today and mention that.
Thank you.
That's all. Until 3 o'clock.
Thank you. Councilman Estes?
3 o'clock, please.
Councilman Cassidy?
3 o'clock.
Councilman May?
3 o'clock.
Councilman Hughes?
Same.
Councilman Webb?
Same.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
3 o'clock.
All right. That takes us to announcements, which we have none for the 1 o'clock work session, which